You ready to lead us off? Oh, sorry, Dowdy. Did I steal your line, Dowdy?
Changing it up.
A couple of personnel things I forgot to ask about the other day. What did Malik Dunlap miss Saturday?
Why?
Yeah.
He wasn't available.
Injury or-
He's day to day.
And
I wish everybody on TV could have seen that right there. Did you get that?
in the
Did you get it?
in the second half on Saturday, TJ Stormont had a series there where he kind of struggled, and then he went with Ethan Card the rest of the game. So just to give TJ a little cooling off period.
Getting 3 fouls real quick in basketball. We need to sit down and watch for a little bit.
What's
Kind of how that works. Basketball coaches take them out. They visit with them. Sometimes they put them back in. Sometimes they don't. It's no different.
He didn't lose his job over that, though, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. He lost it at that time, but that's perfectly fine.
Coach, since 2019, the team is 1-10 in true road games. That one win coming in Morgantown, actually. But what do y'all have to do to play better on the road?
We got to be able to run the football and play really good on defense. Those are the two, I think, keys to winning, especially with a backup quarterback. I've done it for a lot of my career. I think you got to get it to your playmakers on offense, and you got to find ways to run the ball on the road. Then you got to play really good on defense. Those are the two keys to winning on the road.
And what kind of challenges does the two-quarterback system of Daggy and Green present?
Yeah, it does, because they've got two different skill sets, and they do a nice job. Neil does a really good job of swapping them in and out and calling plays for both of them. And there's, I think, still some carryover. My guess is that Green can run, that Daggy's still run, that's in for him. He is the starter, or at least as of right now, But Neil's done a really nice job with both of those guys, and obviously doesn't look like to me interrupting a whole flow for their offense. And Green comes in and they run the ball with him, but they still throw it, and they get the Q run game, but then still handing the ball off to Letty and those kind of things, getting it to some of their playmakers. And so I think it does present challenges to your defense, because they're a little bit different. And so that's a challenge for us this week.
Coach, we hear everybody's mentality coming off of a game like the Texas game is just to flush it and move on. But how much defensively do you guys have to watch that stuff? Because, who's to say West Virginia is going to try to do the same? You know what I'm saying? How much do you learn from your film, or do you just move on to the next?
No, I think you're always learning. I think you learn from a loss, you learn from a win. You learn sometimes from not having success, maybe a little bit more, because you certainly learn what not to do. And I think the overall mood. First of all, it's changed. Y'all are making me go backwards now, but for Sunday and the better part of Monday, even though yesterday was an off day, you got some guys that are hurt. You got some guys that are embarrassed. You got some guys that are anxious to get back on the practice field and improve and get better. And then, you're only as good as your last game, and we all know that in the world that we live in college football. And it's last Saturday, and that's what's out there right now about the Texas Tech Red Raiders and as a program, because we're always going to win or lose as a program. It's not just your question was the defense, but it's all the way around. We stopped ourselves on offense. Why didn't we make it into a game that looked just like last year? Was what I was trying to challenge the offense in the middle of the game, and then even after, and we didn't score enough points. We didn't score enough points to win, and that's the really, honestly, the attitude that Sonny Cumbie has and that I have in terms of leadership for the offense is we should have scored more points. And then now, you got to get back to what's made us fairly successful through 3 games on defense, and we got to get back to that, and we know that.
And you mentioned going with the backup quarterback to Morgantown. How much does it help him starting against them a year ago, being familiar with West Virginia.
Yeah, I think that helps, and that'll give Henry some confidence. But they've, there's a few new players, and they've been a really good defense, in my opinion, for the last 3 years. They've done a really nice job and sticking to who they are, and they're very sound. They're very sound fundamentally. But, Henry played in that game. We had a backup quarterback 2 years ago in Morgantown that we took into there. So, there's some I think Henry and all players gain confidence from past performances, but we all understand that every year's a new year, every game's a new game, and I think Henry's excited about the challenge, and we're certainly confident in Henry, not based on last year or anything, but just based on who he is, what he's been since he's been at Texas Tech, what he has done last year, but also how he came in and was prepared to play against Texas last week. At moment's notice, he came in and he played well.
From last year to where he's at now?
Well, the biggest thing is you've changed offensive coordinators, and he's had to learn a brand new offense. And Henry is smart. He's a very intelligent. Dad's a high school coach. He grew up around the sport and grew up being taught, from his dad and his really good high school program. Trivia question: Williams, who's in the Hall of Fame that works at Texas Tech from Henry Columbia's high school? Think about that. Okay, but high school Chaminade Madonna Hall of Fame, work Texas Tech employee. Do you know? Okay, keep thinking. All right, so but I think Henry's grown in his knowledge in this offense since the spring. I think he is a patient guy in the pocket, but the thing about Henry is he'll pull it down and run it, and just knowing what to do with the ball when something's not there, taking a sack, throwing the ball away. Those are things that you see progression with Henry of being more mature, and that's what I hope will continue here for a while.
When you have a guy like Henry stepping in to make his first start of the season, how much does it help in terms of comfort to have a guy like Easy, who's so reliable as number one option?
I think for Henry, you got guys in front of you. You've got Kuntz, you've got Rigdon, you got Mannix, you got Miles Price, you got Sarodrick. I think he's confident in a lot of the guys around him.
And then for the younger receivers like Miles and Loic, does making a big play, especially in a game at Texas, can that sort of get them going? Okay, I know I can do this against
Certainly.
a school like Texas.
Yeah, I think anytime you have success in a game and on that stage, and I don't think it matters whether it's at Texas or it's at West Virginia, it's anywhere in the Big 12, you start to have success and you can taste success, I think it gives you confidence. But you're still going to be a byproduct of how you practice and how you prepare each and every week. And those guys are good practice players. They've really become good practice players for young guys. I'm proud of Miles, Loic, JJ, Mason Tharp, all those young, Trey Cleveland. I know it's his third year here, but those guys are becoming really good practice players, and hopefully they get chances in games to shine, and they've done a nice job. They've done well, those young guys.
You mentioned that West Virginia defense, especially inside the red zone. I think they gave up touchdowns on 20% of the red zone drives. What on tape has stood out about what they're able to do once a team gets inside the 20?
They're good. They're going to try to make you run it in, and you're trying to make you run it in and then throw it versus max drop coverage. Most offensive coordinators aren't patient enough to do it.
And then in terms of, you talked about Henry now stepping into that role. What role does now Tyler kind of morph into now that he's kind of on the sidelines? Does he still play a part in kind of giving Henry notes, or is he just so much focused on kind of just working back and dealing with the injury?
Those guys are friends, man. Those guys, Tyler's in quarterback meeting the last couple of days this morning at 6:30 a.m. Tyler's a team player. Whether it's being a friend or a support or a confidant, he'll be there for Henry, for Barron, for Donovan. And that's also a little bit of the vibe in that quarterback room is only one guy can play. It's an ultra competitive room, but they are all friends. And at the end of the day, they all represent that logo, and they're great team players, every one of those guys.
Coach, I know Henry's technically coming in off the bench, but do you view him as a backup with the starting experience that he had last year?
Yeah, that's what he is. He started the year as a backup, but but he started games last year, and he's about to start a significant amount of games here for us this year.
Now, West Virginia, I know you mentioned after the Texas game, the line of scrimmage battle was really where you thought the game was won for Texas. How does that set up the challenge this week for West Virginia? That it seems like their D-line could be the strength of their
D-line
entire
is
team.
the strength of their defense. They're good. They played very well in Norman last weekend. I mean, 12, 90, 55, 10 and 8 on the edge, 91, 6'7", 305. I mean, those guys, that's the strength of their defense. They've got safeties back. The backers played against us last year when Tony got targeting, and he had to leave the game. That was pretty early in the game, if I'm not mistaken. But those safeties got experience. They've got a lot of experience in the back end and the DBs. But I think the strength of the defense is the D-line. They're very, very active.
And really, the front seven as a whole, what kind of pressure do you expect that Henry's going to face or anybody when they have two of the top three sack leaders, one on the D-line, one on the linebackers, and just that pressure that they're going to bring out?
Well, hopefully we can protect Henry, and that'll be a big key to protect the quarterback, especially in obvious passing situations.
Coach, in your coaching experience, you've had to have losses like this past one where nothing seemed to go right. When you get into practice the next week, are there completely changes in practice to shake things up? Do you it's something as simple as an example would be like changing jersey colors that week, or changing the order of practice, or do you ride the boat that you were riding before to keep it consistent with the players? What's your style in that manner?
Yeah, I think. Let's see if I can use your analogy. I don't think you change the boat out, because the boat is the boat, like you said. But I think there's some things that you need to go fix on it. I'm not sure you have to change the entire color of the boat, because I don't think that has anything to do with winning and losing. But I think there's certainly things that you can do in practice, in meetings, to try to avoid what just happened. And a lot of it's asking why and what and all that stuff. And I'm not sure there's always answers for everything, and we didn't play good. And so, on that side of the ball, we've got a lot of guys that have good experience, and they're good players. And so that's our job, to get them in the right positions, to get them aligned right, have confidence, and then go let them play. And so from a player standpoint, they have to own a performance, and that's on them. And they have to improve. And I don't have to play any more than 11. I just got to play 11. I got a penalty if the 12 go out there. Okay? It's not good if 10 go out there. I'm going to play 11. If there's more that deserve to play because of their performance in practice and their preparation, then they'll merit it. Okay? Game day evaluations are going on, and guys that didn't play as well may not play as much this Saturday. So we'll play 11 dudes. So I hope I answered your question. Tried to use about your boat analogy.
It's already been documented about the problems getting lined up and the communication problems on Saturday. Has the process been changed or shortened in order to help get the defense lined up this week, or has it remained the same? And also, which player's responsibility is it to make sure everybody gets lined up?
It's each and every one of them. It's all 11. They get a signal, they go get lined up. Sometimes you got a guy in the secondary making an adjustment. Sometimes you got a linebacker making an adjustment or a check, and sometimes you have a D lineman. Those responsibilities can't change, because you still need that to be done to get lined up properly, but it's all 11 of them's job to get lined up.
But in terms of the process of communicating,
get the signal, get in alignment, get in a stance, key, and then go play football like your hair's on fire. There's some things that are very, very fundamental to football that you can't skip those steps, and you can't change them in the middle of the year.
Any other questions for Coach? All right.
That's it. I got one. No, Marquise Waters will be out for the year. Unfortunately, had a pec injury, requires surgery, so he'll have surgery starting tomorrow, and then he'll be on the rehab circuit. That's all the information I'm giving you. Surgery tomorrow. I don't have any other information outside of that.
Who plays a spot?
Oh, Fry could, depending on the personnel package that KP's in. Fry could. Rabbit. and then depending on what we do with Reggie. But all those guys are safeties back there.
And going back to Rabbit, on Saturday, he made 5 tackles, had the interception, broke up a couple of passes. Going back and watching the game, looked like he also had maybe was beaten a couple of times in situations. How did you feel about just how he played overall?
I think Rabbit is no different than the rest of the guys on defense, Don. I think there were some flashes of good and too many flashes all the way around of not good enough defense. I'm not sure anybody played real well on defense when you give up 70 points. So it stinks for a guy like Muddy. Muddy's come here in January. He's been a great leader. Got named, as you guys know, captain, and on our leadership committee. He's been a tremendous, mature influence on that DB room. We'll continue to do it, obviously, in another role, just similar to what you asked about Tyler. Those guys aren't going anywhere. They're still in the building, and they're really good teammates. He was in meetings this morning at 6:30, so very unfortunate for him. He does have another year that he can have if he so chooses to here, and we would obviously very much support that. So we'll see what he does, down the line, but it's unfortunate. So it's another thing for our team, and to go rally around a new guy that comes in and guys that come in, because there'll be multiple people playing back there, and we've been playing multiple guys, but we all know that there's football adversity that goes on, and other teams face this, and we certainly are not immune to it. So bigger test, and kind of tighten the rope, and here we go. Yes, sir.
To clarify what you said on him having another year, is that because of the COVID year from last year, or would that be because of a medical hardship waiver?
It could be medical. He did not ever redshirt at Duke, or it could be a medical. It doesn't really matter. He's played less than 4 games, so 4 games or less. Excuse me. Yeah, they could go either way. I'm not sure which way they'll go with it, but it really doesn't matter. He's got another year if he wants it.
All right, thanks, Coach. Well, players.
Okay, thanks, guys.
I guess, Colin, for you as one of the leaders of the defense, what have the past 2 or 3 days been like, just in terms of what the message has been from you and the other leaders on that unit?
Yeah, it's been really rough for us, especially after the game Saturday and Sunday. But the whole team was in here Sunday, watched the film, made the corrections, flushed it just like we do every week after a game. We try not to get too high with the highs or too low with the lows, so we're focused on moving on right now and looking forward to the opportunity this Saturday to kind of get the stink off of us.
Moving on to West Virginia, obviously one of the things that stands out is the fact that they kind of play that 2-quarterback system. What's the difficulty in defending something like that?
It's just game playing for 2 people instead of 1. It adds a little bit more to our plate than normally, but we're just focusing on who's in the backfield pre-snap, and then everything's just same after that: pre-snap reads, keys, assignment, everything. So it just kind of adds a little twist to things, but nothing too bad.
And then for y'all, in terms of, we talk about every week, another good running back that you guys are facing. What does Letty Brown do that makes him special?
Yeah, he's really good out of the backfield, catching the ball. Last year I think he had over 30 catches out of the backfield. This year I think he's had 11 so far, so he's on track to do the same things he did last year. But he's got good vision. He runs behind his pads pretty well, good balance. But that's something we see every week, so it's just another challenge. Different guy doing it, though.
Colin, you mentioned watching the tapes and flushing it, obviously, but what were some of the things that stuck out that you guys kind of learned from, I guess, heading into this week?
Yeah, just getting aligned was a problem for us, and that's something that we take pride in, getting in a stance before the ball is snapped, just looking like you're ready and actually being ready. So that's going to be a point of emphasis this week for everybody, and you're not relying on anybody else to do your job. So that's something we're taking care of in practice this week.
Still very early in the season, obviously. How do you guys kind of balance that and then also kind of going into West Virginia with a chip on your shoulder a little bit?
Yeah, the loss hurts a lot, but at the end of the day, we're 3-1 right now. A lot of teams would want to be in our position. We still got 8 more to go, so we're not going to let one loss affect the rest of our season. Like I said, we kind of have another opportunity to get back to normal and to what our identity is, especially on defense. So we're looking forward to that opportunity.
Colin, I know you were asked about the 2 QB system and whatnot. Does it actually help that one guy is more the runner, one's more of a passer? I know they both can do both out there, but compared to some of the dual threat guys you've seen in years past, you don't know what they're going to do. Does it help that, you know, if someone's coming in, you have a more general idea of what they're out there to really do?
Yeah, like you said, there's a general idea of what's going to happen, but nothing's for sure. We still have to respect the run from each quarterback, respect the throw from each quarterback. Tendencies are broken a lot, especially when we perform as bad as we did. We're probably going to see them do a little bit of the same things that Texas did against us. So, but yeah, it throws a little wrench into things, but you still have to respect both threats that they have.
You talked about just the alignment issues on Saturday. What is the major cause of that? Is that just simply a communication thing? Is it not getting the signals quick enough thing? What leads to something like that?
I think it's just a mental focus thing, which is good because it's fixable. It's nothing that is broken forever. So, like I said, we're taking care of it this week in practice, and it's going to be a very important week of practice for us because, you know, the games aren't normally won on Saturday. They're won within the week of the preparation and being prepared. So as we do a better job of that, we'll get better results on Saturdays.
Coach let us know Muddy will be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, injuries happen, but, you know, how big is that loss for the defensive side of the ball? Yeah,
it hurts a lot. As a person, it hurts just because I know the kind of work that Muddy puts in to the team and with himself. And he is a fifth year, so it's really hard to see that happen. But it's a next man up mentality for us. Muddy can lead without playing, which is something that I've already seen him do since Saturday. So his role in the team has not vanished. He still has a big role in our team, especially as a captain voted by his teammates. So I think that speaks highly to him. And just having him there talking to us, being a coach on the sideline, different than the title coach, is going to be something that he'll be able to do for us.
Questions? All right, thanks, Colin.
So, Roderick, after getting 4 carries your first game back, then obviously more into it against Texas, how do you feel, game shape-wise? Are you full go?
Yeah, I feel good. I felt good after those 4 carries. And after this past game, I felt really good. My body was feeling good. Everything was pretty good. And most importantly, my shoulder was feeling good. So, yeah.
What are the problems this West Virginia front line present for you guys going up there, one of the better defensive fronts in the Big 12?
Well, the thing that we know about them is that, they're obviously not the biggest guys or anything like that, but, they're quick, they're fast, they're mobile guys. They use their hands very well. So, they just have a knack for being disruptive, and just find their way to the ball. They're always around the ball, making havoc. So we just gotta try to contain them as best we can.
So, Roderick, in that time that you were out, what impressed you about what Taj and Xavier were able to do when they got their chances?
Everything. Just for that Houston game in particular. I remember I was at the house and just seeing Taj rip off those big runs and seeing him being the running back that I know that he was, and him just showing it. It was great to see.
For you, when Henry comes into the game for Tyler, what do you think he did as a quarterback, as a leader of the offense, that allowed you guys to be effective in those moments when he was in?
He was just doing stuff that Henry's been doing since he's been here. For instance, last year, Henry had to come in, and it was pretty much just the same things. He was making plays with his legs, not necessarily running, but he was making plays with his legs to find people with his arm, and he wasn't afraid to throw it, and he showed that. So,
Roderick, how do you see your role growing potentially in this game, both when West Virginia really being led by their D-line and those linebackers, with you being able to be a leader, obviously running it, but blocking, just different things in general? Do you see your role being even bigger in this type of matchup?
Yeah. Just because, like you said, West Virginia's the power of their defense is their front seven. So, right now, this game, we know that this game is going to be won in the trenches. So if we can try to contain them as best we can, and I feel like we'll come out with a dub.
So, Roderick, how would you explain your rehab process? How difficult was it, or just how frustrating was it to know that you might be back or you could be back? And I guess just if you could just speak to when you were cleared and what that feeling was like.
The rehab process, it wasn't really that bad. It was just the part of just being out for that extended amount of time and not necessarily being with my teammates, because a lot of rehab process was by myself. So that was really the most frustrating part about things. And then once I got cleared, it was just trying to get those game reps and those movements back, because with the shoulder injury I couldn't necessarily run for an extended amount of time. So just trying to catch my breath and things like that.
For you, what did you learn about yourself during that alone time, or just that time you were kind of rehabbing by yourself, like you said?
I learned that can you rewrite it? I'm sorry.
Just, I guess, what did you learn about yourself during that time? What was it that you kind of knew that you were going to come back, or did you have a work ethic that maybe you didn't feel you had before? I guess, what would you kind of learn during that process?
Okay. Well, yeah, I knew that it was going to be difficult coming back, and I didn't know how long it was going to necessarily take for me to come back. And so just that work ethic of trying to because the initial goal was trying to come back week 1, but obviously. So, but yeah, just that goal of just me giving myself that goal, it really helped me.
And then last one for me, in terms of what you kind of mentioned about trying to run and kind of learn to, get your game shape back, who were some teammates that helped you, or did you kind of work with anyone before you were allowed to do full pads or anything like that?
Well, throughout those practices, I was working a lot with Maverick MacGyver. We were just running a lot of routes and things like that. And then I was working a lot with the strength coaches, just running gassers during practice and things like that. And then one week I was on the scout team, and like all of those guys really helped me. Mud, Reggie, Rico, they all helped me a lot that week, and it's been a everybody thing. Like even when I came back, the running backs helped me with the plays, getting used to the offense again, and yeah.
Hey, so Roderick, last year West Virginia was rated, I think, the top defense going into y'all's game, or one of the top defenses, but y'all had a lot of success on the ground. What allowed y'all to have that success?
Just knowing about their defense and hearing about it all week, and that just kind of made us ready for it. And then we had a good game plan last year, and we just knew that we had to be physical with them, and we had to like run the ball to give us a chance to win that game. And so knowing that and putting that pressure on ourselves, I felt like that really helped us in that.
Do you feel like it's similar this year?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Do we have any more questions?
I guess going off of that, what would you say the biggest keys are for you guys to get off to a quick start in Morgantown?
Just running the ball. Just running the ball. Because like if we can run it anytime we want to, and we can run it like through their defense, through their front seven, then I feel like they'll take away momentum from them, since like we know that that's like what they hang their hat on. So if we can try and do our best with that, I feel like the game should go how we want it.
Anything more? All right, thank you.
Have a good day.